Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. We're caught in a trap. I can't get out because I love you too much, baby. I like chicken wings, whatever it brings. I'll eat the spicy ones till the bathroom stings. Bars, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Getting weird on a Wednesday. You know what? Did we plan that song? No. Listen, I'm like a muse for the heavens, for baby Jesus, whoever's up there. And whatever song they're inspired to give me, I just let it go. I let it rip right in the beginning when we start this bad boy, okay? And listen, chicken wings just came to my head. I am who I am at the end of the day, okay? There is not a place, there's not a time in my life where I see a chicken wing spot and I don't go, ooh, chicken wings. It's never going to happen. When I look through a menu, I always look at their appetizers. Can we start with some chicken wings? You know, you take me to a 5-star restaurant, something fancy, something with a fountain in it. Well, how are the chicken wings here? And they look at you weird, you know. What is the equivalent of fancy chicken wings? Chicken tendies? Like what? You got to go into a completely different bird, I feel like, if you're going to try to really fancy up the chicken wing. And that's what's so beautiful about the chicken wing. I feel like the chicken wing should be America's pastime. Like it should be the national bird of the food kingdom, if you will. Because, of course, we have the quail in California. I don't know what Texas is. It's probably some stuff I should figure out in case anybody challenges me in a trivia game. I feel like it's a Roadrunner or something. Let's find that out real quick. What is the Texas state bird? Northern mockingbird. Okay. I mean, kind of the most annoying bird. I'm sorry. I said it. I don't apologize. Dude, we almost got too much light in here. Look at that. We're still figuring out the set, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're still working on it. Things are still in the progress of moving in completely. Listen, here's something they don't tell you when you're a little kid. Moving into a new place, it's a process, okay? And for some reason, I get neuralized every single time I move to a new place and I have to start the process over again, okay? Because then I'm just like, yeah, I'll be ready to go the next morning for the podcast. Nah, you're going to need a couple days. You're going to need a little bit of time to really settle in. But let's get back to this. The Northern mockingbird, Texas state bird. Listen, if there's anything the Texas state bird would do if it was a mockingbird is to just constantly just go, don't California my Texas. Don't California my Texas. Don't California my Texas. That's all it would do. Okay, if it mocked anything, it would just constantly repeat that. Yeah, people in Texas, they love Texas. Okay, and by golly, rightfully so. Okay, listen. Been here for almost a week now. Tomorrow will be a week. And I get it. I like a little pride in where you live, okay? It's fitting that I'm wearing a Puerto Rico hat because no one likes Puerto Rico like Puerto Ricans. I feel like it's the equivalent of no one likes Texas like Texans. And I get it. I like the pride because it makes you care about where you live. It makes you care about your culture and try to be a good representation of that culture. That's why whenever people come over, I try to give them something Puerto Rican. You know, whether it's cooking, it's usually just food. I don't fuck around and give them, a rock from Puerto Rico. That'd be kind of a strange flex. But I usually try to introduce them to the culture in some way. And I feel like that's what Texas does, which is nice, is to just be like, hey, try our food, you know, welcome. Hope y'all have a good time. And it's kind of crazy that, you know, I live outside of Austin, and the more outside you go, the more y'alls you get, the more fixins you get. And I fucking love it. Okay. When people ask how y'all doing, I just say, all doing well, all doing well, you know? But listen, your boy, I had chicken wings the other night. Listen, I played this place called Wicked Wings. Listen, maybe I caught them at the end of the day. All right. I listened to a couple places I tried, caught them at the end of the day. That was all saved by one restaurant. Because I was starting to be like, man, this Texas food isn't what I remember it to be in Arlington when I lived there. Maybe this is, maybe the hype isn't real. And then I got recommended this restaurant, Hayes City Store, I believe it's called. Phenomenal. Got the burger there, got some, they were award-winning French fries. Phenomenal. Okay, listen, your boy likes to eat and your boy likes to venture out. Okay, I'm very ceremonial. Got to this restaurant, hour and 15 wait. I said, sorry, boss, why don't you wrap that up for me? Okay, we're going to take that to go. And then the guy working there, while we had to wait about 30 minutes for our food just to get it to go, he goes, hey, just a heads up for next time, we have a phone number. You can call it with your phone and place the order so you don't have to wait. And I get it, the kid was being nice, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, thank you very much. I know about phones, man. I'm not from the 1800s. I thought he was going to start explaining electricity to me, Just, listen, this guy, Alexander Graham Bell. He invented this shit for us. So you don't have to look out here, like a simpleton waiting on your food, okay? I appreciate it. And the food was delicious. Still getting settled in. I'm liking it so far, though. I'll be honest with you. Something that I have to get accustomed to. When I lived in Ventura, I lived in a very tight-knit apartment complex, if you will. It was a string of apartment condos almost, and there was only about 10 or 15 of us. So we were like family. I knew over half the complex, had their numbers. We would text. We were, every time we saw each other, we'd stop and talk. I loved it. It was a very tight-knit community, but it also, we weren't really meshing. We didn't really spend too much time together, which is like, it's a very delicate dance, if you will, to be in an apartment complex, because you want to, sorry, there's a giant monster outside right now. Probably the Texas monster going to take me away since it knows I'm from California now. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's ginormous and it's coming this way. I'm pretty sure Godzilla versus King Kong is happening outside the door right now. It's a delicate dance living in an apartment complex because you want to be friendly to your neighbors. You want to know them and you want to make sure no psychopath isn't living next to you. But you don't want to hang out. That's the last thing you want to do. You don't want to hang out, become friends with them. You don't want to, you don't want them to know what your couch feels like, okay? Because it's just, you don't shit where you eat. You want to keep it business casual, okay? Hey, how you doing? How are the kids? Great. Keep it moving, pimping, okay? And on the other spectrum, something that I got to get used to is in a bigger complex where I live now, nobody talks. Nobody says a word. Sometimes the first day I was like walking Beowulf around the complex, they have little trails and everything. It's very lovely. I thought, oh man, maybe this is a Sixth Sense moment where Evan died on the trip out here and is no longer with us. But he couldn't accept it and move on, that he was now going to have to haunt, I don't know, New Mexico or El Paso. His spirit moved on, creating an illusion for him. And now he was living on this planet as a ghost and had created all this, real world experience because it felt like no one could see me in the complex. And listen, no pun intended, but I don't have a complex about needing to be seen, only do stand-up comedy. But it's more of the acknowledgement, because I like acknowledging people. Listen, you're walking on the sidewalk by me, you're going to get a nod, sir. You're going to get a nod, ma'am. Oh, how you doing? At the very least. But there's this thing where it's like, man, I thought I was a ghost, okay? Because I'd be walking and people would be right next to me and I'd be staring at them. And I'd be like, hey, are we going to do the dance? Are we going to say, hey, how's it going? Hey, acknowledge that you're another human being. What's that like? You're on this planet as well. But no, people just eyes laser focused on ignoring you. It was as if I was a werewolf. okay? And people are just walking by on their business. And if they know the werewolf, if you make eye contact, it pretty much felt like a hot girl at the gym where they just want to avoid eye contact with every guy because every guy is going to pretend to teach them how to use the equipment. That's what was happening, But it's just odd. And it's something that, there's parts of me that I care about acknowledging people around me. And I can't let this place break my spirits, But I'll be honest, when I say I can't let them break my spirits, your boy was already ignoring people. I blend in. Listen, your boy is like a chameleon. I blend into my surroundings real quick. You know why? Survival mechanism, okay? Your boy's smart. Your boy's observant. The odd nail out gets hammered, all right? And listen, it's already bad enough that I got California plates in this complex right now. I should have gotten those taken care of ASAP. Shout out to my cousin. I know he listens to the podcast. Told me I should have been working on that a long time ago. Shout out. Hashtag Mongo Mango Juice for life, okay? Don't worry about that one, people. But all is well here. What's going on in your guys' world? Shit's crazy. I just found this statistic going on in California, not California, that China has been buying up a sixth of the real estate in America. A sixth of the real estate in America is bought up by China. Do you realize what that means? We're dead. We're dead. Okay. We are our kids are all going to be speaking Chinese. And while everybody is so worried about what pronouns everybody is saying and trying to force you into compromising and using these weird things, China's going to invade us. And it's crazy because we're fighting and I'm not trying to get too heavy into this right now, okay? I know I just dove into World War. But it's kind of nuts because not only have we been fighting with China over trade wars, now it's going to be a real estate war. And then it's literally turning into a don't try to spread your democracy throughout the world. China told us that. You guys need to stop trying to spread democracy through the world. They want us to be a little more communistic, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, we're going to jump out of that one. I thought I wanted to go down that aisle today. I don't. Sometimes you just say things and it just happens, But here's what I do want to talk about. If you haven't seen it, ladies and gentlemen, stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin bars. King Kong versus Godzilla. If you know me, if you really know me, your boy was raised on Godzilla books, okay? I loved Godzilla growing up, okay? I'd go to the library. There's a couple different kind of books I like to get. I like to get books on hamster training. Listen, don't worry about it. And what I mean is that I would just get every kind of book I could on animals. I would get parrot books. I'd get all these different, I just go to the pet section and I just get as many books on all the different kinds of animals that I could. Your boy Lightweight is probably going to become Joe Exotic here in Texas, okay? I like me some exotic animals. And I even like the basic ass one, like a goddamn hamster, okay? One time I had this little hamster, Siberian dwarf hamster is what it's called. Legal. Picked it up at PetSmart. Its name was Munchies. And Munchies was dope. Munchies got to a point, though, where Munchies got a little aggressive, where Munchies would let me hold him, but he would get a little weird if anybody else tried holding him. And then one day, Munchies got out of his cage. Not sure how. I lost Munchies. There's a couple times, because one time I lost Munchies for a week, and then Munchies just randomly showed up. And I was like, what the fuck you doing, Munchies? You just munching a bunch, a crunch munch in the house? It was cool. He just went on vacation. Okay, I get it. He had to unwind, clear his head a bit. Then Munchies got lost for a couple weeks. And I remember I went into my parents' room and I was like, they asked me to move a box or something. And I lift up the box and Munchies is flattened underneath the box in a running position. And to this day, I still think that someone in my family assassinated Munchies. Listen, was it my father? Listen, I don't know. But listen, I get that those bills could have added up. Munchies munched a lot, and maybe that was the angle, is that Munchie was hemorrhaging money for the family. But, it didn't have to go that way. And I remember it was so sad. And I had to bury Munchies in the backyard. I had an animal graveyard. That's how many animals I had growing up, is I had a section roped off in the backyard at the top of the hill for all the dead animals. A lot of dead pigeons back there. There's probably some pigeons haunting there. Some of those pigeons meant an early demise by the, I would say demoralization in the sky from hawks. Okay, listen, hawks would break into the pigeon cage. You're gonna have a bad time. Only issue was, though, is that once the hawks got in, they couldn't get back out, and they would just basically try to apocalypse the gym or the pigeon cage. It could be a gym. It's like a bird gym, right? What was the point I was making about hamsters? Oh yeah, I get books on hamsters. And then what would I get at the library? What were we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, Godzilla. And I'd get Godzilla books. I'd get pet books and Godzilla books. And if you don't know, sorry, I'm hearing weird sounds outside. Texas just has more sounds, just more things happening. Listen, there's a wasp, probably a murder hornet, the size of a $50 bill, that lives on my patio. I'm trying to make peace with it. I don't want any problems with any murder hornets. But King Kong, listen, if you haven't watched it on YouTube, go story time. My first ride at Universal Studios. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast. When I was a kid, I went to Universal Studios, and it was my first time on the tram ride. And I'm just a little feller. Imagine 5 or 6 years old. I remember we're going on the tram ride. It's cool. You're going through, you see Jaws and everything. And the one dude at the Bates Motel. And all of a sudden we start going through the tram ride, and everything starts being like rubble and fire. And I'd be like, oh shit, something fucked up on the tram ride. This isn't good. Was there an accident? Bet somebody died. We start going through, and all of a sudden there's a TV knocked over to the side, and it has a news channel on, and there's a lady being like, there was a giant gorilla on the loose. Please be on the lookout. It is wreaking havoc and devastation in Universal Studios. And I remember looking at my dad, and this is my dad. I look at my dad and go, Dad, what happened? Instead of, and listen, I don't blame him. My dad's 100% Puerto Rican. I don't blame him. He took a shot. He took the chance. I would do the same thing. But instead of being like, it's okay, it's part of the ride, just relax. He goes, shit, mijo, I don't know. I don't know what this is. And starts looking around like he's looking for a gorilla. And I'm like, oh shit. Pops is worried about this. The man doesn't freak out about anything. Keep my peepers open for this goddamn gorilla. And as we keep going through the tram, all of a sudden, everything starts shaking. You hear roaring, people screaming, and we're rolling through this bridge. And all of a sudden, on my right side, I'll never forget it, goddamn King Kong head, the size of a F-150, just right there in my goddamn face. I'm screaming bloody murder. I mean, it was insanity to me. And I remember thinking, holy shit, this is how I go. I'm going to die a virgin. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm trying to like melt into my chair to get away from it and like into my dad. And I'm screaming so hard that the Asian family in front of us, doesn't matter that they're Asian, hashtag stop the hate, stops taking pictures of King Kong, and they just start taking pictures of me. And it's like a whole family of Asian people. Because I remember they were Asian because they all were speaking, I don't know what Asian language it was, very fast, laughing, making jokes, and all pointing at me. I had like a row of like 4 people or like 4 rows of people just pointing and laughing at me. And I'm freaking out and just, ah, ah. And then we make it through and my dad is dying laughing. And then all of a sudden, we come around the corner again and it's King Kong again. And it's like a famous line in my family where I just go, oh no, here we go again. And then everybody on the tram starts dying laughing. In hindsight, I killed. It was my first big performance at Universal Studios. I did great. But because of that, I have some weird connection to King Kong. And obviously I love Godzilla. King Kong versus Godzilla, it's a masterpiece. And I know you think, listen, there is a genre of science fiction movies that I love no matter what. I don't care what it is. I'm going to love it. Okay. And Godzilla vs. King Kong is one of those. It could be the worst King Kong movie of all time. It could be the worst Godzilla movie of all time. I'm still going to see it. And I'm going to say it wasn't half bad because you got to know what you're signing up for. What is that one terrible show? Terra Nova? Loved it. Okay. Anything with dinosaurs, anything that's making an attempt to be good, like a science fiction film, I'm going to love it. The only thing that I don't like about some science fiction movies is when they try too hard to turn it political. I feel like that's what happens with a lot of movies in general now, where they're just trying to now, not only is the virtue signaling going on outside of the film, but they're trying to even make virtue signaling stances within the film. So sometimes you see that in a movie where you're like, oh, you're just trying to make a statement with this film rather than tell the story. And it's just gross, you know, when you see that with actors and you see that with directors and writers, that rather than making a good film, they want to make a political statement to get them like virtue signaling brownie points from it. It's a very weird flex. But here's what I love. Godzilla vs. King Kong. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin this. I'm obviously not going to spoil it for you. Not yet. But listen, you come back in a couple months, you're going to get spoiled, baby. It's a great film. And you have to go into those movies knowing what it is, okay? I'm not expecting this gorilla to give a Leonardo DiCaprio Wolf of Wall Street performance, okay? It's a goddamn CGI creature, okay? But for what it is, I love it. I feel like that was a lot of why I wanted to leave California entertainment world. And listen, I'm sure there's some here in Austin. Listen, I'm not one of the people who think that you go to a new place, it's going to be a brand new place. It's completely better than the other place. No, I don't think so at all. I think Texas has its own problems. California has its problems. But I think overall, when you look at different places, like contrast so much between California and Texas, the news and the way it's shown on TV is not the truth at all. Like they always paint a certain picture that doesn't express reality. Like in Texas, like here, most places, everywhere you go, every store, restaurant, well, except the one I went to yesterday, they follow all the mask policies. Like there's people with masks everywhere here. It's not some weird, you know, everybody kind of looks like on the news, like, oh, Texas opened up, no masks at all. Everybody's still wearing masks, even though it's not necessarily mandated by the government. And the idea behind that, I fucking love it, is that make people self-accountable, give people liberty, and don't tread on those rights, you know? Don't tread on me. Hashtag don't tread on me podcast. But give people the responsibility to mandate their own policy, if you will, all the different restaurants and businesses. And I can see that being problematic because you're removing a layer of protection that they have to be the ones that are mandating those things. Like, you know, you're now putting that on the restaurant and on the business. But I think that was the big issue in California, was there was so much, don't do this because we told you to, with the government, like too much government overreach. And I feel like it's a weird thing. It's an issue. And I like that Texas has, this is what it kind of drew me to it, aside from like, I think there's going to be a good stand-up scene here. And obviously the house prices, there was no way I was ever going to get, home ownership at this time in my life in California. And it's like, that's huge for me to be able to actually like build some equity and be able to do the things I love without, breaking the bank on it. Great. And let's be honest, it's still kind of breaking the bank. That shit is not cheap in general to try to do that. But a huge draw to Texas was the fact that it is a lot more open and a lot more independent. And you just have a little bit more freedom out here, I feel. Things aren't as weird. But it doesn't mean that it's all better than California in every way and all this stuff. Listen, it's hard to compete with the oceans. It's hard to compete with the Yosemite. But, I'm sure the more I explore Texas, there's going to be other, beautiful things. And that's why I think it's important for people to travel and to get out of your hometown and to, go to different places and put yourself in a brand new area where you don't know anyone and just branch out, because it forces you to just grow as a person, but it also expands your knowledge of existence. And that's a weird fucking way to say that. But it makes you new possibilities. Like there's always that thing where, and obviously other ways to live, like other ways that you can live life. Like it's not so defined into your one own meandering experience as an individual. Using a lot of big words. Listen, we're on our second cup of coffee. We're fired up right now. Filed up. It's kind of like fired up, but you do in a filing cabinet. Yeah, I feel like it's like that thing where no one could break the 5-minute mile back in the day. And then one person broke it and they were like, oh, it is a possibility. And then 14 people broke it that next year. And it's like the same thing with fighting, where it's like someone pulls off a crane kick and then all of a sudden like 4 other people do it. And it's like, I think it enriches people's experience in life and just knowledge and like how to be a good human and just like evolve as a human. It's experiencing so many different ways of life, which is good. It just, it enriches your palate, if you will. Because, man, it's like you get locked in place. If you stay in the same place for all your life, you get locked into that, where that's your only experience. That's your only, perspective, is you never really had to evolve or grow or learn how to like talk to other people like outside of that realm. I think that's why people get locked in echo chambers of even political shit. Like the way that algorithms and everything work online, you get locked into an echo chamber of what you'll like and what you'll allow, and like that certain way of thinking. I feel like that's such a bad way to live, especially politically, is that you see people, you only have your, you mute people, you only have the people you agree with, certain of this, certain of that, and you don't allow for discourse. I feel like that's part of the thing of life, is being able to disagree with people, have debates, and just maybe learn something you didn't know, I think that's huge. This for sure wasn't a comedy podcast today, huh? I don't know how to bring this in back to being fun. But it is huge, because I feel like that's all the growing that you can do is done through resistance and everything like that. Let's see. Anything else we should tuck on? I just went by a video of Tucker Carlson. Anything we should tuck on? I don't even. I was on Yahoo. Sorry. Facts that you don't need to know. This is a fun thing. When do you think we open up completely and COVID-19 is behind us? Do you guys think that we ever will have it behind us with so many new variations and strains? It's kind of crazy to think about, because we have the vaccine. Like, is there ever going to be a day with all these new variations and, stronger strains and the vaccines and then, these like vaccine passports that they're trying to do? Is there ever going to be a time where they're like, hey, the COVID-19 stuff, we're done with it. Go back to normal life and we'll treat people who get it accordingly now that we have treatment and we have vaccines? Like, is it going to be crazy where we have COVID season where it's like, okay, from this month to this month, it's the most potential to be a terrible thing. Wear your mask during these few months. That's kind of crazy, right? In reality, I think that at least with the restrictions and stuff like that, I think it's going to be another year at least. I think it's going to be at least another year where we have some form of restrictions. And if they start doing this vaccine passport thing, that's going to be the weirdest thing ever. I'm not for that. The whole vaccine passport thing where you have to prove you got vaccinated to be allowed to do certain things. Oh, man. It's kind of crazy to me that they're pushing vaccines so hard on people, especially when the risk, listen, I'm all for it. If you have, pre-existing conditions and you need to take the risk of getting the vaccine, and so far clinical trials are showing that it's safe. Okay. Yeah, I understand that completely. But if you're like not at risk and they're trying to get you to take it so you can resume regular life, it gets real weird. You get into some weird territory when you're worried about freedoms being taken away from you. I sound so Texas now. When you're worried about freedoms being taken away from you because you refuse to take a vaccine that for a illness that you're not necessarily on paper with the current survival rate at risk for. And I understand, some people do have pre-existing conditions, but it's just a weird thing, man, when you start getting the vaccine passports. And even when like the iPhone was starting to track stuff and being like, oh, do you want to track your iPhone and allow it to, let you know if you've been around someone who's been tested positive for COVID? Nah, I'm good on all that. Because what's to stop you to being like, oh, you can't use your cards. It keeps showing you that you keep going out when you've been around too many people at risk, and until you have a negative test, you can't use any of your cards attached to your phone until you have a negative test. Like, we all think I don't really worry too much about the first level of where we're at, but I'm like, where can this go if we start letting it slide there? Because we could get to a point where it's like, okay, people aren't staying in and they've been possibly exposed, but they don't want to listen. Okay, well, we need to shut down all their cards, make it so they can't use certain apps. And then it's like, man, we're getting into weird territory. And obviously we're not there, and that's an extreme, but that's a real place it could go, And it's like, for some reason it went from like government being just this thing that was supposed to help people govern themselves to like now they're controlling people. Oh man, what happened to this podcast, ladies and gentlemen? Listen, we got to Texas, got a little bit of freedom, and now we're just a freedom fighter out here. Okay, you're not going to take my guns at the end of the day. Okay. But we will be back Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to let you guys know, thank you everybody who reached out for the safe travels. All of that means the world to me. Everybody who continues to listen weekly blows my fucking mind. And I know these last couple episodes, I feel like I at least, for me, I just got a lot, I'm trying to get everything organized here, still buying stuff for the studio, and they're going to get better and better for you, baby. All right. I love you. Shh. No, baby. And maybe we'll have a guest on Monday, but I can't confirm or deny that. But you know what I can confirm? I love you.